Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here today with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David. How are you doing today?
Yeah, good. How are you doing?
All right. You need to get a little higher in your screen there.
All right. Let me just all these different screens going.
Yeah, that's good.
I can't find the Skype one. Bruce, we are here today about the Edmonton Oilers signing of Corey Perry. And we've now had Perry and Ken Holland speak to the media. And just wondering, what's your main, from the press conference, what's your main takeaway from that? What stuck with you from that press conference, or have you heard it yet?
I did not. I just got in the door, David. So I saw a couple of quotes from it in your post, and that's basically what I've got from the press conference. But it's he said more or less what might be expected, and he put pay to revisiting whatever it was that happened in Chicago. He took full blame for it months ago, and he doesn't want to talk about it anymore, and that's that.
What do you think about that?
Well, they know that it's not a criminal matter, and they call it a workplace matter, and I mean that could mean a lot of things, of course, and that's the information that we have, and that's all we're going to get.
Yeah. I start share screen. Let me see what this looks like. I thought that was fine. I mean, because it's not a criminal matter. And can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I thought it was fine because it's not a criminal matter, and because it's a private, makes it a private matter. On, you can say it's a public personality, and people want to know. Well, people want to know all kinds of stuff that's private, and they never find out. It was
Don't say never, because they found out. Holland said that he wanted to keep it a secret until today to make the announcement, and they found that out over the weekend.
Well, yeah, that's
how
different.
It came.
The NHL looked into it for what that's worth. The Chicago Blackhawks took action. I think Perry put it to rest with his statement 2 months ago, where he did make a full apology and essentially said he needed help. And today, in the press conference, Bruce, he came across, in terms of what happened in Chicago, to me, he came across as, and some people might object to this, but he came across as someone, as much a victim, I don't know if that's the right word, but as someone who's suffering and needed help and is getting help, and maybe that's going to work out for him. Maybe it won't. We don't know that. But he came across as, this is a guy who has a problem, acknowledges it, takes full responsibility for it. We don't know exactly all the incidents that played out over the years in relation to his particular problem with alcohol. There might have been a number of them. The fact is, that doesn't matter unless they're criminal matters, and they're not. This is someone who's got a problem. He's addressing it. So that's why I think I was fine with it. I didn't. It's just this is his personal struggle, and I don't really. If he wants to talk about it, that would be interesting. If he doesn't, that's fine. So that's how I saw it. I can't see you once you shifted screen view. You just sent me a message. All right, let me try that again. Stop sharing. Can you see me now?
Yeah.
Who knows what I did there?
All I could see was myself, and this is not providing me any information in terms of
visual information. All right. In terms of the Oilers, what does it mean, Bruce?
Well, it just means they got deeper. They've added some things that they didn't have. I always like to, before they add guys, and when they do, check boxes of what's the team a little bit shy of. And it's was shy of a few things that Corey Perry brings, and some of those things he brings in spades. And that's, I mean, Ken Holland's love of size and experience at all positions, but on the wings, I mean, Oilers' bottom six is not that large since Klim Kost and Nick Bjugstad both left town, right? They were a
Yeah.
big bottom six last year. They haven't been this year, and the biggest guy is Ryan McLeod, and he doesn't play that big. I guess when Evander Kane is on the bottom six, but he isn't right now. And they just got heavier in almost every sense of the word. They certainly added a heavy in terms of how he's perceived by fans around the league of all other teams that he isn't playing for at the time.
You know, it's funny, Bruce. I went over the. I did a post on why Edmontonians hate him so much,
Mm-hmm.
and I watched the videos again. And
I read that one too.
we really were mad at that team because it was full of thugs. But really, I think what made everyone really enraged in the end, like watching it again, it just hits you over the head. Corey Perry's wiping out of Cam Talbot is so utterly blatant. And to not call that back, and then the whole thing with Kessler, it's really, the hatred is, in the end, like if you're fair, this is all about the NHL, their officials, and their, at that time, their control room.
That's
Whoever
where
was
my
in the
anger
control room,
resides.
whoever was in the control room was on crack. Like those calls, Bruce. Those
I've
Perry
never
just
gotten over that.
wipes.
I've
He
never gotten
wipes
over
him out.
that.
He wipes out his blocker. He hits his skate. Talbot's in the crease. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous call, and it just speaks to confirmation bias. Because in both cases, we see confirmation bias at work. Perry smashes into him, skate to skate.
Yeah.
And I think that's all the refs asked. The refs
Yeah.
asked him, "Does his skate hit outside the crease?" He says, "Yeah." But
Didn't
that
notice
wasn't the
his
issue.
blocker.
It was Perry. And then on the second one, it's fascinating to watch the Hockey Night in Canada discussion because they're all agreeing there's no goalie interference here. Darnell Nurse pushed him into the goalie,
Right.
and you can just hear the ref saying, "Well, as I saw, Darnell Nurse pushed the player into Kessler into Cam Talbot." And the control room saying, "Yeah, Darnell Nurse pushed him in there. This is a good goal." And then it
Let's
takes
not
Elliot.
watch anything that happens after that, because
Then
who knows? It's only Ryan Kessler. What might he ever think to do?
because
He wouldn't
then
cheat, would he?
oh, so then Elliot Freeman says, I think Edmonton fans are going to be a little bit upset. If you watch, you'll see Kessler's hand on Talbot's pad. And then they go back and they watch it again. And it was fascinating. In real time, Friedman was able to change everybody's mind on the panel
It was
because they took the
obvious
time
when you looked
to
for
look,
it.
and Kessler grabs his pad, pries it open, and the puck goes in the net. Anyway, so our reason for hating Corey Perry, my long-winded point I'm making, is the reason for hating Corey Perry. Yeah, there was reason because that was a really rough team. But if they had been properly penalized, and if the officiating had been half decent, and the NHL control room had just done its bloody job, there wouldn't have been that kind of animosity against the Anaheim Ducks.
Yeah, well, they had a lot of thugs on that team, for sure. And I mean, Getzlaff showed his true playoff colors to Edmonton fans over the course of that series. A lot of hatred grew for that player at that time, and everybody already hated Perry and Kessler. Right?
Oh God, Kessler was the worst in that series.
He came from Vancouver, just to. So, anyway, big difference is that Kessler, being a Canuck, a Duck, and a Team USA player, I've never in my life ever had any reason to root for the guy, which is fine. I don't want to root for the guy. Corey Perry, he's played for Team Canada a whole bunch of times and won a whole bunch of gold medals playing for Team Canada, and I liked him fine in all those tournaments.
Yeah.
And he's a good player, or he was, and he's still. What he brings, which is savvy, that he's had in spades. Well, he's not going to be losing that aspect, and he's got the size and the meanness, and the toughness to play. What he did in that game 5, he had nothing to do with the Kessler tying goal. I think it was Raquel that put it in. But he scored the winner in double overtime just to nail the dagger in, right? He scored the game-winning goal.
Yeah.
But that's what you're kind of supposed to do. You want him doing that for the Oilers now, right?
Here's what Ken Holland said today about why he brought in Corey Perry. He said he actually wanted to sign Perry in 2019, and we had done a story on that rumor at the time. And his quote was, "quote I've been hot after Corey for the last few years. I think he's the type of player that every team wants on their team." That was a funny quote. Then he explained his thinking between the hockey, what he brings to a hockey team, his winning pedigree, and what he's done over the last months to make himself a better person. We felt this was an opportunity to add a player who can make us better on and off the ice. He's a great leader. Come playoff time, you think of blue paint goals, greasy goals, and that's what Corey stands for. We're adding a player that plays playoff hockey. Greasy, gritty, dirty, heavy on the puck, down low. Unquote.
Did he say dirty?
He said dirty.
Oilers hockey isn't dirty hockey. But they do, I think, kind of need an element of that. And that guy, I mean, he brings the grease in absolute spades. That's been his trademark. Yeah. Never been shy about it. He just brings it hard, right to the net front, to the round. And he's one of the very best. I noticed this even when he was in London, how good he was at controlling the puck right in around the sides of the net and being able to pull it hard out in front and make a hard play with it. And he's so big and he's skilled enough, and he uses his skates, stick, everything to bowl the puck towards the net is one of his features. But he can obviously pass it as well. And as of today, he leads the Edmonton Oilers in career goals with 421. You got to respect that.
Career NHL goals, yeah.
Yeah. Of any Oiler. Like McDavid and Draisaitl and Kane, they all reached 300 last year. Well, Perry's over 400. So
here's what Perry said about what's been happening with him the last couple months. Quote, "It's been a long time to get back to this spot, to be back on that ice with players in the NHL." And as a side note, he was on the ice with the Oilers this morning at practice. A continued quote, "I have to thank my family, my friends, all the support I've gotten, the support of my counselors, and just try to better myself each and every day. It's been a world of difference, the help I've gotten." So I think this is because of his owning it and owning that he's got a problem. I think that's what has changed 100%. Most people's minds. I think people the fan base was split initially, Bruce. In fact, we did a poll and they were split. It was almost 50-50 before that statement. Now on the internet, I'm not seeing very much complaining. It's not like when Kane signed here, when many people had serious misgivings. I'm not seeing that in this case. It's not that kind of situation. There's a lot more sympathy for the player based on people's understanding of alcohol problems and what he's dealing with.
Yeah, I believe he referred to mental health also in that statement. Yeah. And the relationship between the two, I said, anyways, it's something too many people have gone through, or certainly know people or have people in their family that have gone through that, understand some of these issues. And, what's the right thing to do once you've made a mistake is accept the blame for it and apologize to everyone and move on. And that's what he's doing. So,
Bruce, I'm going to read you some of the comments from social media and podcasts and stuff, and we'll end off with that. Here is Rob Brown from the Got Your Back podcast. Quote, "The only way you can do this as an organization and as a GM is you trust that your room is strong enough. You bring in an Evander Kane into your room. You better trust that Leon and Connor and Nurse, that those guys are strong enough. Bringing Evander Kane in, he had way more baggage than Corey Perry. I've said for about 6, 7 years that the player that the Edmonton Oilers have been missing has been Corey Perry. And my friends hate it because they all hate Corey Perry until tomorrow morning when all my friends will love Corey Perry. So he said that last night. So he's, I'm not as, there seems to be there's a widespread conviction that Corey Perry is really going to help the Oilers. I'm not as convinced of that. I mean, I didn't see him play in Chicago. So again, I'm on the fence. I don't really have an opinion one way or the other. I know that most people seem really positive about this, but he is a 38-year-old player.
Yep.
Things can happen fast for players, anyone in the NHL, because of injury, because of age. They're usually related. So it'll be interesting. He's not known as a fast skater. So Willie,
No.
how is he going to fit in on the Oilers? How is he going to do? Is he going to be solid defensively? Is he going to be a solid two-way player? And what role is he going to play on the team? I'm not saying he won't be really great in a limited role on the third or fourth line. That's a real possibility. But I don't have any opinion on it. I'm just going to be open to whatever I see on the ice, and we'll go from there.
Well, presumably Coach Knobloch will be in much the same boat. He's going to pick his best 12 forwards to play every night, and he's going to rank them by line more or less, and all of those guys are going to have to prove themselves to keep their spot in the lineup. My question for you is how do you deploy the guys at the bottom of the lineup? Do you rotate guys out and have, say, Ryan and Janmark and Brown and Perry all on a list of guys who comes out every few games, and they all mostly get to play and don't have to play 3 games in 4 nights necessarily, that.
Yeah, with those older players, it's great to have a bunch of them that you can rotate if you can afford it. And his contract, he's got the minimum salary this year, and a $325,000 bonus, Bruce?
Well, multiple bonuses that sum to that.
Yeah. If they go deep into the playoffs, he can earn as much as $325,000, which will go against the cap next year. To find a negative comment, Bruce, I had to go as far as Philadelphia, where Flyers fan Mike DeGennaro said on Twitter, quote, "This is the most overrated move already I've seen in a long time. If anything, it'll take this thing backwards." I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe it is over. Like I was just talking about how everyone's convinced that it's going to help the Oilers. And maybe, they may have more knowledge of Perry's game this year than I have and be more certain of it. But
well, he had 4 goals and 5 assists in 16 games in Chicago. That's not terrible. He was playing 14 plus minutes a night. I'm not sure how much of that he was playing with Bedard. I don't imagine that much because I'm not sure their styles mesh. But he's been, the last 5 years since he left Anaheim, he's played 285 games, got 116 points. So about something in the 30s per 82 game rate. And that's not playing as many feature minutes, though he did get some on the power play, I noticed. So
yeah,
he wouldn't get much. He wouldn't get first power play in Edmonton. He would get second power play.
Here's what Alan Lowtide Mitchell of The Athletic had to say. Quote, "Signing Corey Perry means no Patrick Maroon. Foot speed is an issue. Also, the Oilers have used 1,000 right wings since McDavid arrived. It is officially the spinal tap drummer spot on the roster." They've used lots of players at every position since McDavid's arrived. I don't know. Pat Maroon, I think I might rather have Corey Perry than Patrick Maroon on the roster. Maroon's doesn't seem to be scoring that much this year, and I'm not sure. Maybe his game's dropped off more. Here's what Oilers. Go ahead.
Bruce Kurlock's equivalent quote.
Yeah, we'll get there in a second.
Yeah, okay. All right.
It's on my list, Bruce. I don't want to jump around on the list here. Lose my place. Here's Hall of Fame hockey writer Terry Jones. Quote, "I have no problem with the Edmonton Oilers acquiring Corey Perry, but I believe the biggest improvement in the second half of the season will be Dylan Holloway, unquote. Fair enough.
Right.
Here is Oilers fan Jackie B. Quote, fam, it's 100% okay if you've flip-flopped on Perry coming to Edmonton. I have mixed feelings for sure, but I just want to win, and he improves the bottom six. Me to Perry before his first game as an Oiler. 1, find a different number because you will not strip Derek Ryan of number 10. And 2, be a pain in the ass, but only to other teams. Any shenanigans directed at our boys or our club, and I'll cut you. I think she just means like cut them from the roster.
Yes, that's how I took it as well. Good point, though. You have to choose words like that very carefully.
I think, yeah, I guess some people have mixed feelings on this. I don't. Like, I just think, can he help the team or not? Yeah. It's I unless there's criminal charges against the player, I adopt the Al Davis attitude of just win, baby, and I hope he helps them win.
Yeah, well, I'm ambivalent on him. He's a player that's very easy to hate because of all the various and nefarious ways that he tries to and sometimes does beat your team. And I hated him as a player on the ice. I'm not sure I ever had any issue with anything he did anywhere else until this thing came up and he owned it. So, when he played for Team Canada, I don't remember there being any problems with Corey Perry. Am I wrong?
I don't remember any. I don't even. He was on the Vancouver 210 team, and I don't really remember him on that team. Like, honestly, I just from that tournament, it's not as etched in my mind, let's say, as 72 or 87. I remember Sidney Crosby's big goal, but I couldn't tell you all the lines on that team. Maybe you can remember that, but I don't even remember him that well.
It was Corey Perry's goal that would have been the winner and the gold medal game until USA tied it up with the goalie out. Remember, and sent it to overtime that Crosby scored in.
I remember a lot of late goals in that game.
It was Perry that nearly had the gold medal goal in that game. He delivered in the crunch, let's put it that way, and he's done a whole lot of that to my eye for a very long time.
Here's from Oiler fan Darcy Woodguy McLeod, quote, I am looking forward to Corey Perry to break his cup losing streak. His brand of assholishness was shitty to watch play against the team I cheer for. Now that he plays for the team I cheer for, I welcome it. Yes, I am that shallow when it comes to making Edmonton better. And Darcy expressed my own feelings very well there. Sorry.
Not much to add to that. And my friend Darcy gets to the heart of the matter, as is very often the case.
Oh, here's a good one. This is
you want a team with edge, or do you not want a team with edge?
Yeah, that's right. Here's one from the Calgary Flames fan site, the Win column on X, Twitter. Quote, Corey Perry is insufferable. Evander Kane is insufferable. Perry and Kane on the same team is beyond insufferable. Perry and Kane on the Oilers together is quite possibly the worst combination in human history. I can think that's a little bit of
Perry
hyperbole.
Kane on the Oilers is how I read that one. Like, this is from a Calgary-based tweet.
Oh yeah,
as sort of all teams, right? The Oilers, these two guys.
That's exactly it.
For Calgary.
Here we have Brian Kurlock. It's Brian Kurlock?
Bruce.
Oh, Bruce Kurlock. I can never. He just goes by B Kurlock, and then I got it wrong once, and now I can't remember what it is, if it's Brian or Bruce. Bruce Kurlock. Okay, quote, if signing Corey Perry prevents trading for a slow-footed right-handed forward in exchange for a third-round draft pick and a 24-year-old right-hand D prospect who projects in the top 4, I'm all for it, unquote. So this was a sly shot at the trade for Bjugstad last year, which saw the Oilers gave up a third-round draft pick and Mike Kesselring, who's doing pretty well in Arizona this year. I haven't checked lately. But You know, and yeah, fair comment, Bruce. I felt like this is a free one. This is like Kane. You're not trading
Yeah.
anything. You're not giving up anything. You're paying seriously. Well, you're probably paying under market. Certainly for Kane when they signed him, and probably for Perry as well. At this point, because of the player's little bit of a checkered past than the Oilers. If he wants to come here, you just have to take less money because of the cap situation. So, but yeah, that was. I mean, I don't know how I feel about the Bukestad trade now. You're trying to win the cup. Um,
Nick
I'm
Bukestad checked a
50-50
whole
on it.
lot of boxes,
He
but
did.
as I said earlier, so does Corey Perry, and he didn't cost what Bukestad cost. And two of them was that they were big and right-hand shots, uh, and uh, slow bottom six forwards. And then, of course, hindsight says that Bukestad had a tough time against Vegas because he was asked to play on the second line, which was not really the role he was best suited for. And he got put up against Eichel, and it was a mismatch. And anyways, they got the player. They got a huge discount on him, at 300,000 below league minimum because of the retention. You know, they were paying for a lot when
Yeah.
they were getting Bukestad, and they paid. And Kesselring, I mean, who knew? Here he is in the NHL already, 27 games, 11 points.
Well, good for him. Good for him.
You know, so yeah, outstanding. He's a guy, you and I followed him for a long time.
You
You
know,
talked to his dad a lot at one point.
yeah, Vinny Desharnais got ahead of him
Mm-hmm.
in Bakersfield, and you know, things that worked out just a little bit different. Kesselring could be the Oilers' third pairing right shot D man, not Vinny Desharnais. All right, here's from Oilers fan Wheat and Oil. He says, quote, "Look, I think it's pretty clear that the Oilers were never going to lose again. So I think it's fair to say that every loss from here on is Corey Perry's fault." Isn't
Wheat's logic is, you know, it's irrefutable.
it is. It is. Here's Lauren, tweeter Lauren A. Quote, "If you are having mixed emotions with Corey Perry signing in Edmonton, you may be eligible for financial compensation." End quote. Kind of a
Right.
funny sign of the times kind of quote, I guess, or humor. Sign of the times humor. Let's see if we got any final ones here, Bruce. Having trouble scrolling down on my computer. I love it when there's these big signings and all these different people with different points of view weigh in. I
Mm-hmm.
find it fascinating. It's my favorite part of these big deals is
Yeah.
like I'm not like because I'm in the past I would have been scrambling to go over bits of
Mm-hmm.
video and try to make my own assessment of the
Right.
player's talent. And I just realized like that is you can't do that. I don't think you can look at the stats and look at you have to really come up with a credible opinion on a player. My opinion is you got to watch him about his last 20 games at least, and every shift, and see how he's doing. And I don't have the access to the time to do that. So now I just like hearing what everybody else has to
Mm-hmm.
say, and all the different points of views, because there's a lot of wisdom, and there's a lot of funny comments as well. All
I
right,
I
go
have
ahead.
many long years of experience of facing that player, you know, as an adversary on the Ducks all those years.
Yes.
And so there's sort of this body of knowledge already, and I'm looking forward to his next 20 games. I don't need to look back at the last 20 because he's going to play right before our eyes. The
Well, that's
decision is
right.
made. We're going to see him. Let's see what he does.
Yeah, yeah. So there's that as well, Bruce. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what can we do about it? What does it matter? And what I worry about though is if I take a strong opinion on the day of the signing, that will
Mm-hmm.
color. I'll spend the next the next 200 games trying to justify my opinion, and I don't want to have to. I don't want to do that. I'd rather just be on the fence initially, and then rate him every game as he goes, and we'll see where this takes us. All right, We'll finish off with Oilers fan Rob Soria. Quote, well, clearly they are not messing around. Perry gives the Oilers something in the bottom six they do not have. Anyone who isn't happy with his signing, you are confused. Unquote.
Conflicted is a better word. Like there's a lot of people that have, specific animus towards a particular player. And it's hard to suddenly go, what?
You struggled with Cassian, Bruce,
now.
for years. You never really got over that.
Cassian that was hard. What he did to Gagne and what he subsequently did to Gagne was pretty hard to accept at the time. And it was always there in the background. It was part of that history.
If we'll bring in Brandon Manning to Edmonton, we will bring in anybody.
Yeah.
And actually, I don't know. Like I was okay with them bringing in Brandon Manning too. Like this is B word. It's pro hockey. Anything that might make your team better. I didn't know if Brandon Manning would work out or not. He obviously didn't come close, man.
I just heard what McDavid said about it. What the hell are you bringing him in here for?
Yeah. Oh, did he complain at the time?
Oh, he talked about Manning, what Manning said to him on the ice the next game after the injury, and how Manning was bad-mouthing him, and he just said that Manning is the least classiest player in the NHL, or words to that effect. And then Chiarelli traded for him. Like,
I don't even know if I was aware of that. Maybe I would have thought differently.
Oh, I think you probably wrote about it, but it's lost in the sands of outrageous statements over time. But McDavid was still very young, of course. I'm not sure he was even 20 when that came out. But
yeah. Alrighty, Bruce. I think we're done, man. Any final thoughts? Any?
Well, Jackie B. She talked about not taking Derek Ryan's number 10. So the other number Perry's worn in his career, including in Chicago this year, is 94. And I don't think there's any 94 in the Oilers right now, right? But something tells me he's not going to take number 94, which is in the rafters. It just isn't there yet. The Ryan Smith old number. But my suggestion for you, Corey Perry, number 24 that you are for Team Canada. I think that's open.
I think he's taken number 90, I read somewhere, but I don't know if that's accurate. That may be inaccurate. I just read that online, so that's just probably fake news. But I think I did read that, but I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know if that was confirmed or anything. 24, that's Brad Malone's number, Bruce. I resent you taking away.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, even as I did that to Tyler Benson.
I know, that was so shocking.
For Derek Broussard, who was no Corey Perry, just saying. But anyways, he can take whatever number he likes. That's just kind of the one that worked in my head. But
did they do it for Broussard or was it for Ekholm? No.
Well, Devon Shore moved from 14 to 19 for Ekholm.
Oh, that's right.
And Tyler Benson got sent down to the minors and then had his number given to a guy acquired at the trade deadline, saying, if you come, there's so little chance of you coming back, we gave your number to another player. Anyways, all I can add is that the one thing they have that in the room that they didn't before is Stanley Cup experience, and it's been thought that team should have at least somebody there that's been through. And of course, the Oilers have Paul Coffey now, who won 4 Stanley Cups, but he's not there in the players only meetings, right, and such. And Corey Perry not only won the Stanley Cup, he won the Olympic Games, he won the World Championships, he won the World Cup of Hockey. Oh yeah, as a junior in 2005, he played on the best World Junior team ever that won the gold medal. 05, and he played on one of the very best Canadian junior hockey teams ever, London Knights, that cleaned out Sidney Crosby in the Memorial Cup final. And so he is one of only 2 players in the history of hockey, the other one being Scott Niedermayer, to win all 6 of those cups in his career. This guy has won on every level that you can imagine. And to me, as a big fan of international hockey, it probably means more to me than it does to some. But geez, I mean, he's been in what, four Stanley Cup Finals.
He's the Barry Stafford of hockey players.
Yeah, he is the survivor, and
Barry
he's
Stafford.
lived to play another day.
Barry Stafford, for people who don't know, was the trainer of the Oilers for a long time, and also for Team Canada's World Championship teams. He was on more championship teams than anyone in hockey, I think, through the 80s and 90s.
He was on
And
Gregor's show maybe last week. Did you catch that?
no,
I meant to mention it to you. I'm sure it's on the archives. He was their mystery guest of the day. I think they do it on a Wednesday, so it might have been.
yeah,
And they had a talk, and Gregor listed some of his accomplishments, and I'm going, holy moly, I didn't realize that. It's a few more championships here and there. The guy was on the bench for a long time.
yeah. Bruce, I'm going to end. I've talked about this study before, but I always think of this study when they bring in old players. It's a study of wolf packs in Yellowstone Park, and over the years they studied wolf packs go to war on each other and have vicious fights to the death. And what they found, somewhat counterintuitively, was over time was the packs with the old wolves did better. So that's all I'm saying about them bringing in Corey. All right.
Yeah, well, I think he checks a few boxes of Ken Collins'